welcome back. Let's just start it up and we did it. I told you. Look at this. Oh, this is fun. Wow. So I don't know what the next level is. Let's see. Clean the golf cart. Let's just do the house. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, should I try to finish my point from yesterday? I guess we all have to have a reason for, like, getting up every day and doing something, and, I guess my reason is, like, this kind of weird, even if I never, like, explicitly stated it, it's like, you started off at this point of, like, social anxiety and not having friends and not having, like, a partner or whatever, and, like, your meaning now is pursuing those goals. And so, for good or for ill, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but it's got to be better than nothing, which is what I had before. I started this channel. I didn't have a therapist. I didn't have a job that I liked. And I wasn't really talking to anybody. And I started the channel, and, like, I've been doing it a little bit more, and so noticing that progress helps you be like, oh, see, progress in your life, that's means something, which, it doesn't really. If I die tomorrow, did any of it mean anything? Probably not. Right? But I don't, I wouldn't have cared before if I had died, and now I do. I don't really want to die. Oh, how do I get rid of that paint? Is there a paint remover thing? Yeah, I was indifferent about my life before, and now I'm like, well, my job is good, and, like, I'm not the thing that I've always heard that made sense to me, like, the definition of depression, not the definition, but just, like, seeing no possible future for yourself that is worth anything, right? I don't feel that way anymore, because I'm like, oh, I got this job and I like it, and they kind of set a career path for you where you can make enough money to support yourself. That was the thing at the other job. Like, I was barely making enough money for rent, and so I'm like, but there was no room for, like, moving up at all. So it's just like, oh, do I just live like this forever? This is dumb. And that's why I was depressed. I'm not depressed anymore, not even close, but I do feel echoes of that depression when I don't make progress for, like, a couple weeks or something, or when I feel like I'm going backwards, or, like, I tell the lady at the church, like, welcome, what? That's so stupid. That's really embarrassing. The good thing about it was, like, I kind of mumbled it, so maybe she didn't hear it, but she probably did. But of course she's not going to remember. Who cares? But that's just proof that, like, my social skills are not being great right now, because I'm not, like, interacting with people that much. I don't think I talked all day today, other than starting this. It's 4 o'clock. So yeah. It's not great. So what am I doing? Maybe we should talk about that first. What can I do? What am I? Well, I have a couple things. Well, obviously I'm going to see my brother the last week of September. But that's still like a month away for me, so. And I just bought this ticket for. I have a note about that. I bought a ticket for this retro game convention in Syracuse. That's in October. What was my note about that? It was like, okay, if I'm gonna go, I need a structure and a plan. Come on. Okay, if I go without one, I'll just wander around, feel bad, and leave. And it'll feel like post-improv thing, except worse because I didn't do anything. Okay. I'm a little bit worried about this convention thing. Like I've talked about how, like, oh, I haven't had any bad experiences. That could be a bad experience for me. It has the potential, and so like I have my therapist, and we could talk about like how to not make it bad, but I don't know if it's possible. Because remember my like fire escape story about I went to the church thing. It was like a church party, and I was helping to set up. And that's what I did. I just kind of like wandered around. Like I didn't go with a plan. My parents were just like, "Oh, they're doing this like volunteer thing to help set up, and like you should go." And it's like, "Okay, yeah, I should go. I'm gonna make a bunch of friends, and we're all gonna be happy and laughing." Oh, and then I went, and then I was just kind of like wandering around, and I was like, "Hey, do you need help?" And people were just like, "Oh, we're good." And I was like, "Okay." I didn't really help that much. Then I ate pizza by myself, and then the party part started, and I was like, I don't want to be here, and then I just went home. So I've had a couple experiences like that. That one always comes to mind. That's why I feel like I need a plan. Like, okay, I'm gonna go, because when I went to the baseball game, I had a plan. Like, oh, go to the baseball game and watch the baseball game. That's the plan, and like if I do that, then I'm not going to feel bad, because it's like, oh, you're going to a baseball game. All you're supposed to do is just watch the game. But if I make this convention thing like a social thing for me, and I don't do any social stuff, I'm going to feel bad. So should I just make it like, oh, find a table that you think would be interesting, and then go to that table, and then you can feel like, oh, well, at least I went to that table, and so everything is like, it wasn't a totally waste of it. I have to do that. I have to like figure out. I've never been to a convention before, any convention ever. I have no idea what to expect. I guess in my mind, the only thing I can compare it to is like a job fair. I've been to a couple job fairs where like everybody has tables, and then you come up to the table and they're like, "Hey, come be an accountant for us." And I'm like, "Sure." And they're like, "Oh, wait, no, actually, no." I never got a job from one of those. Everybody hated me at those job fairs. I was so awkward. God. And then they're like, then they give you the advice, like, "Oh, you're supposed to follow up and send the email or call them." And I did that, and they were still just like, "Eh, I remember you. You were the weird one. You would not fit in at our job. I'm sorry." Oh, that's funny. Your first job, I didn't even like register that. You clean your car, and so like, oh, now I have a clean car. That's funny. I don't know. It's stupid. Just like narratively, oh, there's something narratively going on there. I don't know. Not really, but continuity between stuff or whatever. This is really dirty. So yeah, that's just it. I just have to have a plan. I think if I was going with somebody else, I wouldn't need a plan, because it's just like, oh, we'll just go and like figure it out. But if I go by myself, and like the first table I go to, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. And then it's like, oh, you like Zelda? And I'm like, I guess. I don't know what I'm doing here. And then I just run away. I just don't know what I want to get out of it. I feel like I don't know. Like that's something that I don't know. I was thinking like, oh, retro games. Like that's perfect because like that's kind of stuff that I am into, I guess. But that's a whole other question of like, what do I like? I don't know what I like. I guess I like. I mean, when I play these games, I like the retro games. I like playing like Super Metroid or whatever. But I'm not like super into retro stuff, so I'm like, there's like an imposter thing there too. Like, you don't know enough about Bubble Bobble or whatever. Like, are they gonna make fun of me if I don't know enough about Bubble Bobble? Obviously not, but it's like, well, do I really like it that much if I don't know who the developer of Bubble Bobble was? So maybe I won't like this thing. Like, you need to know that. Like, come on, you need to know that to enjoy the retro gaming convention. You don't even know who created Bubble Bobble. um, so like, I don't know, maybe I'm like, well, you don't like it enough to enjoy it, and it's like, but what else do I like doing? I signed up, my therapist gave me, so I went into therapy on Friday, and I was like, everything's the worst, and I'm the worst. And she's like, okay, here are 2 actionable things we can start with. And I did both of them. So I guess that's what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about the 2 things that I did. The first thing was to join Facebook groups in the Utica area or whatever. And I did that, and that's how I found this retro gaming convention thing. I mean, if this turns out good, then like that was good advice. And the second thing was to volunteer at the Stanley Theater in Utica, which is like the big theater here. And I did that. And I actually called them on Monday because I filled out the form online, and I'm sure, like, I was just like, they're never gonna get back to you if you just fill out the form. So I called them. Hey, look at that, Mr. Call Guy. I'm calling people now. That's my thing. And I did that. And they were like, yeah, we're looking for people. She was like, oh, I'll send somebody your email, and they'll let you know, because like sometimes we have to do orientation or something before you volunteer. And so I'm like, okay, at least I did that. They haven't gotten back to me, but I don't know, I'm a little bit worried about volunteering there, but that's like, I don't know, I gotta do something. I'm always gonna be worried about whatever I do, so I just do it. I mean, I've been doing better at just do it, man. Just Nike, right? Just do it. So I'm just doing like random crap, and I just don't know why or what it would lead to, which is probably nothing. But I don't know. It does feel good to at least like try, even though you're like, oh, this is probably stupid, and I won't even go to this volunteer thing because I probably will hate it, but at least I tried. Like, now I can feel a little, I don't know, like self-righteous. If it goes bad, I'm like, see, I told you. And self-righteous is like I don't know, it's not a good thing, but it's like, hey, you kind of feel good about yourself, like, hey, I told you I would hate this, and I was right. I mean, there were points where I wasn't even feeling that way. I was like, I'm an idiot, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm like, hey. That kind of happened with the alcohol. When I was like, I freaking knew it. I knew how I react to this stuff. Maybe I should talk about that more, too, because I got some comments. Who was it? Was it Ariel? No, it was Dalton. And Dalton and Laura commented. Thanks if you're watching, which you're probably not, but that's okay. They watched the drinking video. And Laura, who's an expert drinker, no, I'm just kidding. But she was like, oh yeah, I mean the flaw with your experiment is that you're not around people and you would react differently if you were around people, obviously. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an idiot, I know that. But I'm still, I mean, well, okay, and Dalton gave me a good idea. He was like, I'm gonna do this. If I can remember, on Friday. I have another bottle of alcohol, wine, whatever. I have to end. Oh yeah. I have another bottle of wine, so I'm gonna drink like half of it, and then I'm gonna order pizza on Friday, and then I'm gonna see if I'm nervous when the pizza person comes, because I do feel a little bit of that still. And that would be something that would be like a noticeable change. There aren't too many things like that. I mean, I could drink like before I did improv, but like I don't want to do that. That sounds bad. I just want to notice, like, I'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm just thinking of more things, because like another thing I said to Laura is like, I'm not comfortable around anybody. So yeah, there's a cliffhanger. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But yeah, I'm gonna do that thing on Friday where I order pizza and see if it affects me. And like, oh, I don't care. Pizza's coming. I don't care because I'm drunk. Okay, see ya.